So let's dive right into Cryptic Corner. You want to? Because this week in Cryptic Corner we have some fun stuff going on. I decided to do mystery animals. This is going to be part one of a two-parter because it's going to be mystery animals of 2022, and they're on a month. So I got a mystery animal for every month. Now, were they all cited in a month? In the month that they are, I don't know. I what I did was I went and found ones that their images or videos that were released in that month. So we're going to look at mystery critters and see if we can't ID them. There are usually plenty. I try to get videos if I can. Some of them are still images, but we got January, February, March, April, May, and June. So we're doing like the first half of the year. That's how we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna do July, August, September, October, November, December, and we'll do the second half of the year like that. And that way it's split up nice and evenly, and we get two cryptic corners where we look at mystery animals. All right, so I guess I can revisit that in a little bit. I was going to ask you guys if my trailer was enjoyable and fun. I wanted to do a kind of a tick PSA because it's that season in the funnest way possible. So I chopped up a Texas Chainsaw Massacre trailer and put some tick stuff in there. Anyway, without further ado, yeah, it's a bit off, Robert. I agree. Without further ado, we are going to move right into Cryptic Corner. Ooh, I like how it turned red and the devil goat man popped up there right when we switched over. How wonderfully convenient. So, our first video, I'm actually pulling this from a news channel. It's called 69 News of all things, but this is from Western Pennsylvania. January 24th, and someone found a mysterious creature and wasn't sure what to do with it, so they called wildlife experts on it, and apparently they weren't sure what to do with it either. But let's have a look and see what they found, and perhaps you and I in the chat, because I always appreciate your engagement, will have some ideas about what this animal could be. Here we go. I'm not going to do the sound because every time I do a sound on a news broadcast, I get a copyright claim, and I just don't want a copyright claim. I don't mind them, but I know my channel's not monetized, so it doesn't really affect anything. But I'd rather not have them. If when my channel does get monetized, I want people to be able to go back and view these. So here, we are going to watch. Definitely a canid. I can tell you right now, just from what we're looking at, and has some soulful eyes. Look at those big eyes. It's got big old Jinamayu eyes. Oh, we don't want to see this lady. That's the lady that found it, though. Or no, that's the wildlife rehabilitator. But the mystery on this animal was not so much because it's a canine. It's a canine of some kind. It's a dog, a wolf, or not wolf, a dog, a coyote, or some level of hybrid. That is the question. Now, the fun part of the story is that the animal escaped. So before they finished, or before they were able to identify it. So it is an open-ended mystery, I believe, unless something new has come out about it. My opinion, yeah, I'm with you there as well. So basically, 411. It certainly looks like a coyote with mange, especially this image right here. The long, narrow snoot. Snoot is a technical term now. Yeah, but this is what what chupacabras kind of, at least in the Western United States, this is what chupacabras are kind of, I want to say based on, but it's kind of what they're supposed to look like. Chupacabras are hairless, weird-looking canines with recessed gums that have big fangy teeth, but they're most of the time they're foxes, coyotes, or raccoons even, with some mange. But this looks like a coyote with mange to me. And I'm not a veterinarian. I can't say for sure that the condition that this animal is suffering from is mange. There are other conditions that cause a canine to lose their hair as well. The only thing that had me even questioning whether or not this is just a wild coyote with mange that someone has found that was too sickly to do much about it is that apparently this creature is quite friendly. It's friendly with its I don't say captor, I guess, but I mean they were trying to get it some medical help. Apparently they give it enough medical help that it was able to break its bonds and escape to freedom. So there's that. So this is I want to say it's probably going to be our cutest. No other creature on this list is going to have quite these puppy dog eyes. I mean, literally puppy dog eyes. Look at this thing. It's scared. Why is nothing cuter to us as humans than a freaking scared canine? It's weird condition of the human mind is that when we see a frightened canine, we're like, oh, that's so cute. My water bug's back behind me still eating. I gave that to the water bug at like 3 a.m. last night is when I fed it, and it's still munching away. Guess it was a good roach. You thinking gray coyote or in greyhound hybrid? Yeah, because or a whippet or something along those lines. Yeah, I know what you mean. A whippet, and that bristle to the fur makes me think that it's completely wild, but I'm not. Again, I'm not 100% sure because it's got a skin condition, so that might be causing the hair to lay a little bit different. But that's just a thought. Okay, so that was January. Oh yeah, hold on. There was something I meant to do as well when I did this. I forgot to do. I wanted to do a poll because there's something that we're talking about later on. I'm going to do it right now so that I don't forget because we're already 20 minutes into the show. And this is going to seem like a weird question, but it's just which one is your favorite? Which one do you favor? So, yeah, go ahead and hit up that poll and let us know because this is going to come back around at the end of the show. All right, so moving on from our soulful-eyed canid companion here, we have this one didn't have any kind of views on it or anything, so I kind of feel like this was a special. I had a hard time finding something for the month of February. I don't know why, but there wasn't much out there, so I ended up going out to old standby of TikTok and finding something that I could work with. So here we are on, where'd you go? We don't want that one, we want this one. There we go. All right. So this is a strange creature that someone found. And they took a really blurry video of it in a, looks like a pool net. It's a small animal, an arthropod of some kind. And when they focus in, we get just a little glimpse of some of the limb articulation and coloration and pattern and a little bit of the morphology of the organism overall. It does not appear to be in the best shape. It may just be tangled in the net, though. It may not be dead. because I do think I see some motion going on there. But this, well, let me see. What do you folks think? I'll give some insights of what I'm seeing here. So there are no less than 6 limbs that I can see here. Those smaller ones in the front might be pedipalps. It's quite small based on the netting. I think that's a pool net. So we're looking at a very tiny little creature. And in my opinion, for February, this weird creature that someone found, I don't even know where they found it at. It looks like it's on a carpet. So I'm not saying they necessarily found it in their pool or anything, but the pool net is what they used to grab it with. But no worries, my friend. You could have just picked this little guy right up, because he's no more dangerous than picking up a cotton ball. He's no venom at all, and he's completely harmless to people. But you know what he is harmful for? Little pest bugs that might get into your house and nibble on you or your pets. We just looked at ticks earlier. These guys do eat ticks. Though they are one of the few arachnids that are more omnivorous than carnivorous, because this fella, in case you haven't figured it out, is an arachnid. I mean, I just basically told you that that we're all too familiar with. This is, because we've had them in the hive before, this is a opilion, also known as a harvest man. Probably most of us are more familiar with the traditional daddy long leg looking harvest man. You know, these guys right here that just look pretty plain, have like a button shaped or kind of teardrop shaped body, and really long skinny legs. But there are some cool looking ones that have some weird articulation. Like, look at this master right here. This tropical harvest man looks wicked cool, almost like some sort of alien life form. Look at those. We've got the sharp spikes and everything. And they come in all shapes and sizes, but the more North American ones are generally what we see is, you know, these little guys right here that live in little bundles together and crawl all over the side of old houses and things like that. I feel like I used to see a lot more harvestmen around, but I think that our and you feel free to disagree with me if you think that what we are looking at right here is something different than a harvestman. If you have a different idea what this is, there's a spot where it clears up real good for a second. And I actually used to, I think this is the species I used to have, is why I'm so confident in my ID. And I'm, if I had to guess where this was taken, I would say it was taken in Florida, just because that's where this species is going to be the most widespread and abundant. But that was February. And I think our ID is that it is a opilion harvestman of the more tropical species. It does not. I did not go down to identifying this at the species level. I'm sorry if that's what you wanted, but I couldn't do that. All right, so that was February. So far for the year, we got January as the mystery coyote creature or canine creature, and then we have this weird bug, I guess is what we're gonna go with on the name for that. This next one is actually what we call, and yeah, I'll dedicate this one to my friend Ring, because Ring likes all this 14 stuff and knows some of these terms too. This is a globster. A globster is a creature that has washed up on a beach, and it was found in Queensland, Australia, by this somewhat handsome gentleman.
I've stumbled across something weird. This is like one of those things you see when people claim that they found aliens. Look at it.
How weird is that?
As you see when people claim that they found aliens. Look at it.
Are all Australians just attractive? Is that the thing? I don't know. But yeah, he's cute. Anyway, this is a creature that has washed up on an Australian beach. As you can see, Queensland, Australia is where this fella is. We can see that it is completely without any hair. There were some reports early on that this was a reptilian creature. I want to nip that in the bud right now. There's nothing reptilian about this organism. I can see that the tail might give someone that interpretation, but it's definitely not a reptilian creature. If it had its head, we'd be able to punctuate that even more. I mean, the flesh on its head, because its head's been flayed completely off. Usually around the mucous membranes is where scavengers will start. So around the lips, eyes, ears, nose, anus, and genitalia are where scavengers are going to start in. Whether it's floating in the sea or laying in the desert, that's where the scavengers are going to go first, because that's the easiest to break open the corpse on. So, but what we are seeing here is definitely not what you'd call a diapsid skull. A diapsid would be if it was a reptile, a lizard, a crocodilian, or even a bird. Definitely not a bird, by the way. Duh, but no one's claiming it is. I'm just saying it's not a reptilian creature because it has a very synapsid skull. This is a mammal. It is not a reptile, but the reason for its tail is because these animals, from what I understand, my assessment of what this creature is for the month of March is it's a possum or marsupial, at least, of some kind. I think it's a possum, and they have thick tails that are used to help with locomotion. So, and balance, of course. Anything that has a tail is using it for some level of balance, because just a little bit of tail can go a long way helping you stay on your feet when you're on the move. But the skull is what really makes me think possum here. As you can see, there's the orbital arch is angled upwards, and the teeth are, while it does look like it may be heterodontal, they look pretty homologous to me, and that may have also contributed to people thinking it was a reptile. But the digits also are very mammalian. They have the way the claw is tipped, angling out from the like a upper 45-degree angle, as you can see right there. And this little claw here, whereas reptiles' claws, at least I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to make that broad brush, but we're going to say just lepidosaurs and specifically iguanids have a very distinct claw structures. No reptile of this size, it's either going to be a monitor or a iguana of some kind. So I guess and that's another broad brush that but in Australia, that's what you're going to be dealing with. But I don't think that this is necessarily a mystery creature. What I think is that we are looking at a brush-tailed possum, a decayed brush-tailed possum, very common in Australia. Lucky us, we get a good view of the skull. Well, not a good view, a reasonable view of the skull and the skull structure on it. So we can kind of compare. Look at this right here. The muscle attachment points for the jawbone right here and here. Those are the chewing muscles for processing plant matter. And we go back to our creature, and you see those same muscle attachments. So I'm confident, fairly confident anyway, this is a possum. If I did hear any argument, I don't think I would I think I would have a good refutation for anything except for maybe some kind of macropod that I didn't take into consideration, but I did consider location, which is this beach, so in Queensland. Anyway, feel free to disagree with me in the comments below about any of the IDs that I have, but to to recap on that, we are looking at, we've had the mystery canine for January, maybe a coyote, maybe a coy dog. Definitely, I don't think that there should be much doubt that there's a coyote in the animal's lineage somewhere. And then we had our arthropod, Opelian, I think it was an Opelian. That's my opinion and my opinion alone. HiveScience, Bree's opinions are Bree's alone. But I welcome discourse as always. All right, so the next one we have here is in this one we may have or you may have seen, I may have talked about it just a little bit at some point, but I don't think I did a cryptic corner on it. So we're gonna look at this bad boy right here, which was from Thailand, the Thailand furry snake. Let's have a look at this creature. I think it's just music. Yeah, just music. There it is. This is allegedly the original footage. I don't know what this actual date is, just when it was released. So we have a creature in like a some kind of I don't know, container, something where they're keeping it contained so they can observe it. Looks like maybe stone, like a stone, or yeah, maybe like a ceramic pot that they're keeping it in there with some water in it. That's what it looks like. And we see that it has this long, stringy fiber on its body that does look like hair or seta. We see that it has a bare area on the front of the skull, and we see a flickering tongue. Now, when I first saw just clips of this, I was like, "Oh, that's some kind of polychaete, right?" Polychaete is they're aquatic invertebrates that have seta. We're kind of like worms, and they look like hairy worms. But this, I think, we're looking at a true snake. This is definitely a member of the snake clade, which is serpents, and a lepidosaur with the lizards. So when she pulls it out, you can see more of the definition of the body. And at this point, there's no doubt that this is a reptile, that this is a lepidosaur, that this is a snake, some kind of water snake. You even see some belly scales there. So yes, it's a snake. So now the audience is saying, well, what kind of snake has green fur? Well, friends, that's not green fur. This is a water snake, and it is believed to be a what they call a puff-faced water snake, and the creature's natural habitat is these swampy regions. So it gets mossy and furry like that just from living in that environment, and it allows it some great camouflage to move among the reeds and weeds and to catch its prey, which in this instance, these particular snakes, they prey on fish. In the wild, they eat tilapia, guppies, catfish, eels, frogs, and crustaceans. So primarily fish and other aquatic organisms. So having this little furry camouflage growing on your body is not really a bad thing. Not really a bad thing at all. So yeah, this creature, I think, is just a a lucky little snake that is benefiting from, it's kind of a, I want to say, a symbiotic relationship with other organisms in its environment to allow it to camouflage and move through its environment stealthily. So good on you, little snake. I think you're pretty cool. Yeah, here's more close-ups of its green furriness out of the water. And she gets a good picture of its head up here. That's what I came back in here to see, because I noticed that it was showing that and didn't want you guys to miss out on it. It's like right towards the end, I believe. Yeah, there, we're getting there. So yeah, a puff-faced water snake. Pretty cool animal. I'm not gonna lie. When I see symbiosis between two different kingdoms like this, between plant and animal, I'm always stoked and wonder if someday horizontal gene transfer may take place and these creatures may just become one, like a lichen animal, like you see on what is it, Kong Skull Island, where the plants are symbiotic with the animals on the island. That's kind of how they play it up. And I don't know why they didn't do it with Kong. If I had been writing the story, I would have put Kong being symbiotic with the plants on Skull Island and having some radiation absorbing chlorophylls in his fur, like how polar bears get algae in their fur. I would have gave Kong radiation absorbing chlorophylls in his fur that would let him absorb Godzilla's atomic breath. That would have been my direction with it. I would have made Kong into an overgrown lichen with just an overgrown lichen that allowed him to compete with Godzilla. And I also would have probably gave him some other abilities, and maybe gave some of the other animals of the island some abilities. They could have really toyed with that and had some fun, and it would have gave Kong some abilities to put him on better par with Godzilla, and they wouldn't have to create like an underground Kong society where they're all hyper intelligent, and it could have been a monster fight. Anyway, so what do we have so far? So January we had the koi dog. February we had the mystery arachnid, the opilion, and now we have a fuzzy snake. And let's see, where are we? Okay, we've got another one from TikTok coming at you here. Yes, this is going to be... Let me pull it up. Where are you now? There you are. Okay, so I just wanted to have this on here because I found this video and I love these things. What is this? What is this? Is a freaking amazing once-in-a-lifetime encounter that you should just count yourself so lucky to have been able to see, because these animals are so rare and so endangered and fascinatingly unique, and there's nothing else like them. This is the CryptoCorner salamanders. There are a few species. There is the Chinese giant salamander, which is the largest salamander in the world, exceeding 6 foot in some instances. There is another species they're dividing that into two species, a southern and northern. Recently, I'm not quite up to date on that, so I don't know where they landed on those. But there's also a Japanese species, which is slightly smaller, which is what I believe this one is, based on some of its coloration. They do have some more vibrant coloration than you'd expect to see in such an animal. They almost do remind me of like how kois have different colors. And then they do have also an American cousin called the hellbender, which lives in the eastern United States, which is kind of weird that these guys live on the east coast of Asia, and then the western country or the eastern countries of Asia, and then the hellbenders in the eastern United States. So there's a lot of space between them, the entire Pacific Ocean and the North American continent. So how long ago these guys diverged was probably, I mean, you're talking definitely sometime during the Paleozoic, probably early on in the Paleozoic, but these two different groups, the Asian and the North American, managed to hold out as these relict population in these really niche environments that just weren't conducive to reptiles, and because that's the problem. That's why giant amphibians kind of went extinct from the fossil record, because they couldn't compete in most niches with diapsids or synapsids. Neither one. They weren't. They have restraints on them that require them to lay their eggs in the water, for instance. That they desiccate if they stay out of the water for too long, or don't have access to keep themselves moist. They're very their skin's permeable, so they're very susceptible to changes in chemicals composition of their environment, and it can make them very sick very easily. But they do have one advantage over reptiles in a lot of environments that are colder, because these organisms are sort of like fish that way. They can thrive in pretty frigid waters that reptiles just couldn't survive in, and that's where these ones are found. Not necessarily frigid waters, but colder waters than you generally find reptiles in. There was a giant, huge, I'm talking like crocodile-sized amphibian that survived all the way up into the Cretaceous, up into the reign of the dinosaurs, called Coolosuchus. They call it Coolosuchus. Suchus means crocodile. When you're talking about taxonomy, you see something that says suchus on the end of it, it means crocodile. So pseudosuchus means a pseudo crocodile, because it was, that's a whole other clade. I don't know why I'm getting into pseudosuchus and to try to explain this. It means crocodile. Anyway, so Coolosuchus was a giant amphibian that survived in the cold reaches of Gondwana land, where reptiles weren't able to thrive. Just the conditions weren't right, and it lived in like Antarctica and stuff. So pretty cool. And it looked a lot like one of these, more like these than any other extinct animal with the giant head and stuff. All right, so that was May. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull up just some pictures of different giant salamanders, because they don't all look like the bright colored. Most of them are pretty plain colored like this, or camouflaged. So that's more of a normal coloration for these giant salamanders. But they can be a bit brighter. You see these two here showing some different color contrast. I'm assuming, again, maybe incorrectly so, that this is a Japanese giant salamander. It could be a Chinese one too. It really could. And we can look at those real quick too. And they but you see these similar features and bizarre characteristics that make these animals stand out in the kingdom of life. These are the largest extant amphibians in the world. All right, so there's the mermaid. Last but not least, we are going to look at something new. And my friend Deep Arcs, I don't think she's here this morning. Usually she's in the live chat. I think she's probably got some stuff going on this morning, so she wasn't able to make it. But Deep Arcs was the first person to point this out to me, but also my friend Cadence, he pointed out in my Discord server as well. So there is a Discord server. There is a place for things like this, for sharing cryptic stuff. So please participate in that, and give me some content to work with. The more you guys help me out, the less time I'd have to spend digging for stuff, and the more time I can spend trying to study it and understand it, and kind of build something that we can talk about. But this was fairly recently. This is just coming to the forefront just in the last few days. So I do not necessarily have a good assessment of what this creature is, but I was not going to let it pass me by. Here is our images of the creature that was caught on security camera outside the Amarillo Zoo security cameras. There we go. Okay, so this one's been enhanced. Didn't really have this much contrast with it. So what are we looking at here, folks? What is this strange organism? Is it a animal? Is it a man? What is it doing outside the Amarillo Zoo in the middle of the night? What sort of shenanigans was it getting up to? Well, there's a couple of things I want to point out about this animal organism. I guess it would be an animal. It's not a plant or a fungus or any kind of microbe, so it's an animal. So whether it's a person in a suit or a organism standing in an odd way, which I think it's the former. I think there's a person outside here. What they're wearing on their head, I'm not completely sure, but the fence is giving us a false perception of it looking at the camera. I believe that's the joints where these chain links meet and cast little shadows is why it's got that on there. I don't think those are like its eyes looking at us or a nose on the tip there. I don't think that that's the case. Again, these are my opinions alone. So, yeah, that is the Amarillo Zoo creature. I think it's a person outside there. They may be wearing something strange on their head. I'm not sure what they're wearing on their head. I don't think it's a chupacabra, which was what some of the reports were implying. I don't think that it's a and I shouldn't say I don't think it's a skinwalker. It could be a skinwalker. And when I say skinwalker, I don't mean anything about anything being magical, a magical creature or anything. I mean a person that practices Native American witchcraft and does these rituals where they don this particular cream and ointment, and this may or may not have hallucinatory properties, and put on a pelt, which maybe what this is on the head, it does look like it could be an animal pelt, so I'm not ruling that out, or even a skull of an animal made into a hat of some kind. But yeah, so it could actually be, what we're seeing here could actually be legitimately a skinwalker, but just not the cool mystical magical kind, but a more mundane person practicing their religion or what have you. But I don't say that that's what it is. I'm just saying I can't rule out that possibility. But this is from everything I'm seeing here, this is a person standing at an odd angle. I don't think that they are actually looking at the camera. I could be mistaken on that, but I think that's a illusion of the chain link. Anyway, that was our strange creature for June. So if you tell me what you think of that, that's the one that really kind of inspired this. So thanks Dee and Cadence for sending that to me. They both jumped on and let me know right away. So I appreciate you. I appreciate every member of the Hive, every member of the Swarm. The Swarm is my Patreons, and my if you want to join Patreon, it's only $1 to be part of it. You do get special privileges to consult when we run a poll. I know we haven't run a poll in a little bit. Again, I said there's a lot of things going on in my life right now, so I'm sorry about that. But you get double votes in polls. You can also get access to early content and art, because I do like working with art and making thumbnails and different things like that. So you will get access to that, and you'll be able to see what your contribution brings to the Hive. So yeah, join the Patreon. Only $1. You can be a Salticid for $1, which is Salticid is our jumping spider. tier level. But the tier level names might be changing here soon too. I think that we are gonna mix that up a little bit because I think I'm going to make it more diverse. Anyway, so that was Cryptic Corner. What all did we have? We had again the koi dog, the opilion, harvestmen, the corpse that washed up on the shores, I believe a possum. We had the snake that was covered with greenery to camouflage itself, and then we had a giant salamander, which was really cool looking, and a mystery creature outside the Amarillo Zoo. So that is our first half of the year for Cryptic Corner's mystery animals. I do hope that you enjoyed that little segment. If you have mystery animals that pop up in your feed in the coming months and you think that they might be a good feature for this segment, which we will have it's a long way off, still in December of 2022, send them to me. Send them to me in Twitter. Send them to me in Facebook group. Send them to me on Discord, because I do have a Discord. Someone that's a member of the Discord. Oh, never mind. Bugbot's dropping a link. That link might be dead. I didn't update it this morning like I mean to do. That's the thing I just need to put on my checklist when I'm getting things going, is to update that Discord link, because Bugbot's link has to be updated every day. Unless somebody knows a way around that. Discord links expire after 24 hours. So it needs to be updated every time I do a stream with Bugbot. It's kind of frustrating, really. But I understand why they do it. So yeah, you can participate and join the Hive out there on Discord, and reach out to me and suggest topics for content, not just for Cryptic Corner, of course. You can make suggestions for content in general, because I also have other sections that I do of the show.